Let me get that off my screen.
And that's Betty right there?
I'm sorry,
That's me.
what? That's Betty.
Betty?
Yeah. It is, I have to take my glasses off. 5:03. We will call the meeting to order for the, I have to take my glasses off again. Agenda
April
on
4th.
March 28th, 2023 of the Simon Fairfield Public Library Trustees. We have a quorum.
So how many people are here?
6,
Six.
unless more have
Not March
joined away.
28th.
Okay, so who is not here?
Nick
Dana
and
and Nick.
Dana.
Dana and who?
Nick. Excuse me, Nick.
Absent. So it's one I'm blanking on.
Nick Sokrat from the Orchard.
Yeah, no, Danielle, Barbara. Betty.
Kate, Dawn, you, and Betty.
What was the one before Dawn?
Kate,
Kate, oh, Kate, yeah, I got Kate, Danielle, Barbara, Kate, Dawn, Betty, oh, Ellie. Got me. All right, I'm sorry.
I don't know what it is, if the planets are in line or what, but it's been one of those days for everybody, I think.
I got that all out of my system last Tuesday, so I've actually had a pretty good day.
I did get a lot accomplished, but anyhow, we digress. Let's move the meeting forward. The minutes from February 28th have been received. Hopefully everyone reviewed them with a correction that was made for the where the funds were coming for the materials and for the children's area. So I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes as amended.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Okay, second. All those in favor, any discussion? No? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right,
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, minutes were approved unanimously. Moving on to the financial report.
There's the numbers. It's really nothing new to say that I haven't said in the past. We're just where we expect to be with where we are in the fiscal year, and things are ticking along.
Yeah, that's a good
Are there any
thing.
questions about any numbers or accounts?
I just, I had looked at the February Bartholomew thing and we have about, and I thought you were combining them all together. So 1,653, move it up. And then 11,000 something or other, and then something else. I can't see it because I don't have it right in front of me. You can move it up and down and I can't.
Oh, what are you trying to get to?
Justin,
Yes.
I'm trying to find the total amount I had was that it's about $85,000 plus in our accounts with them. So I was just trying to add in my head the three different accounts, and if you could sort of put them all together next time instead of keeping them all separate, because they're all now the building fund accounts, or just keep them all in one place so you don't
Well,
have to.
the accounts are invested in one place, but they still exist as different GL items. So that would require, I mean, it won't be how it's tracked anywhere else. And it also won't line up, I don't think, because I won't have the totals in those accounts reconciled with Gene until the end of the fiscal year, because that's when we do interest. So, I mean, I don't know if it would really
Sure.
accomplish anything or if it would just make you batty. You know what I mean? Are you there?
We're here.
We're here. Uh-oh.
I couldn't tell if Ellie cut out or if,
No, I was just saying, I was giving pause to see if we were all set with that question. And I guess we are. So, we can move on through the budget information.
Okay, so
And
that's
then-
all I wanted to say was there's about 85,000, a little bit more in the accounts of
85,000.
February,
That's good.
which is, the interest is much better than the $4 or $3 I received from Unibank for the Friends last year, for the whole year.
Okay,
7, 9.
moving on to the director's report.
Yeah, if I just add the numbers that I have in
Oh.
building donations, interest-bearing building donations, and the trust, which has all been invested into those, I get $85,445.14.
Okay, so that's basically what I was saying.
So
So
they're very
we're all
close
in
numbers.
agreement. Yeah.
They're
So
close
85
numbers to each other, but they won't be precise until the end of the year, and it makes me uncomfortable.
Well, no, that's fine with you. It makes me uncomfortable to wait till the end of the year.
Mhm.
I like to see things as they flow. I like monthly statements. That's why I like these charts that you make.
Uh-huh.
I'm not waiting for you to get to the end of the year.
That is fair.
Okay. Ready to move
So
on?
onward.
Yep, to the director's report.
February circulation was good. I sent an addendum with March's circulation numbers too, since we could compile them. They're also good. Circulation's
Good.
just really good this year. The cannabis education program garnered an attendance of 6, and our new writing club, which is going to be meeting once every 2 weeks, also garnered an attendance of 6. But they want to cap it at that. They don't want more. Because they're going to be trading works and working through like a reading schedule, and they feel like more than that would be too hard to manage.
Yeah,
But that'll be an ongoing thing, which I'm kind of excited about because they're going to generate some content that we can put on our blog. And,
Yeah.
it's just like they're all, one is a poet, 2 have published works already. I'm excited for the group. I think it's going to be good for them.
that's good for them
Mm-hmm.
that they can get together over that. That's really
And in some serious across the aisle collaboration, Joe McKenna is going to co-sponsor Ruth Balzer's Bill H3239, which is an act empowering library access to electronic books and digital audiobooks. This is our state's attempt to cap the cost of ebooks and e-audiobooks because we're getting price gouged. New Jersey tried and failed. New York has kind of been sitting and waiting to see what happens. And Massachusetts is going to try to now do it from a contract protection bent instead of as a consumer protection bent, which is what New York did and got struck down. So that made me excited.
good.
I presented to FinCom and Capital Improvement Committee. Both meetings, I think, went as well as they could have. FinCom isn't, they didn't bat an eye about anything I had to say. And they understand that the personnel budget is still the way it is because of the compensation reform thing going on. Capital Improvement Committee, Ellie could probably gauge their reception better than me, but I think that they kind of approved of the course of action, but whether they really had the resources to fund it, since this hasn't been something that we've had in the pipeline, I don't know if it would be there. But we can talk about them when we get to the building projects. And we have officially made friends with our bookshop across the street. They're going to let us post our reading club flyers over there. And we'll see if there's anything else we can kind of help each other with moving forward too. But that was nice. It's a very cute shop if you ever want to visit, and the prices are pretty reasonable for what they have. It's a good curated collection of not junk books that have a good reason to be there.
Oh, nice, very nice. I have to check it out. All right. Under old business, building projects and handicap access. And I guess we'll look at the building grant under that, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
So I guess this is kind of, the existential question. And it's not one that really has to be decided, but it's something that we should be thinking about is, do we intend on applying for an MBLC building grant in March 2024 or March 2028, which would be the next round. I kind of outlined some pros and cons. I think that there's definitely pros and cons to either moving forward now or waiting to see how the first round goes and kind of stacking this up to where in March 2029, we can say to the capital committee now, we're going to need X amount of money and get it into 5-year plan. I mean, the cons are obviously it's pushing out something that we really want and desperately need. But if we do the building program with the consultant, Mary Brainey, which is what I emailed about earlier, it would answer a lot of questions for us in the process. And, I'll still, whether we really want to apply for the grant or not, it still makes sense to put in the letter of intent, which is due at the end of this month because it's not a lot of work. And then it gives us, almost another year to make up our minds. But so that's kind of where we are and where I am. And, I guess the important question now is where the board is.
Can we just have open to discussion or do we need a motion or can we let's just talk about it, okay? It hasn't
Yep.
come.
I think we
to
should talk
any-
about the building program, whether we want to do it.
Right.
And if that's something that we want to do, commit to it and start the process. And that's something we would definitely want to do if we're applying for the grant in March 2024. If we're not applying for the grant in March 2024, it becomes less of a thing and we could wait if we wanted to, or we could do it now and use it to inform, decisions that we make between now and then. Because I mean, that is 5 years and a lot can happen in 5 years.
Exactly. I would like to hear from other board members. I have my thoughts, but I'd like to hear from other board members.
I have,
So the building program was one part of the pre-planning, is that right?
Yes.
The
If
building
we-
program is what you need to apply for the grant.
Okay, along with, wasn't there another piece? Or just
Just
like-
the grant application.
No, that
We have to
letter of
do some
intent.
workshops.
So this would include like the assessment of the building.
Yep,
as
the
well
building
as-
program would be the thing I emailed y'all about, which was
Yeah.
the $8,000 to $10,000 expense to prepare basically a giant binder of, which would be the letter to the architect as to what we want and what we
Yeah.
need.
will it have options in it? I mean, that's what I was thinking, that the Mary Brainey program would, provide us with different options, whether we, and this is what you would get if you did the full building program. This is what you would get if you just did accessibility. But I just want to hear, from her, her, survey of the community and us, what the options are. I think that would be very good for us
Mhm.
first, so you can go ahead and do whatever you want to do with the intent stuff. But I think her study is going to be really helpful.
Mhm.
Right. Other
Yeah, I mean, like
trustees?
basically she's just collecting data, putting it in a blender. She'll survey us, the municipality, the staff, get an idea for the culture of the town, and basically write up. The first thing to find out is, is it possible with what we have in our lot of land to build an MBLC compliant library?
Exactly.
Can we even apply for this grant, or would it have to be in another spot? And then the question would be, is it even possible to divorce the idea of the library from this building? In which case we would want to build the building program then not to the MBLC standards, but to what, the board and the town needs and wants. And then that would be what we would have. We would have a building program, which is, because I mean, ultimately, it's required for the MBLC grant, but it doesn't have to have anything to do with the MBLC grant, if that makes sense.
Exactly, right. And
Okay.
that's my point I was going to make. I don't know if people had a chance to read through what Justin sent that from Sutton, and she talked about that the current space is not feasible to improve upon. They need to look for a new space. And she went into a big, long thing about what can be done where they're at and what, and whether or not it's up to them to decide whether or not they move forward. Having said that, my feeling is that we move forward as far as we can go before we have to make a serious commitment. In other words, to have the building study done and send the letter of intent and then see what happens with that. That way we have that document no matter what. And looking back to what Anne had written, again, it was 20 years ago, so technology was more limited, but still, comparing the two documents, it was not even comparable to spending the money to have someone who knows this field and knows what to look for and how to write it up.
I think Anne did as good of a job as I could do, to be honest with it. But like the challenge is always going to just be overcoming the personal bias, because I have ideas of what I want the library to be like and how I think it could be improved. And so like I can't help but subconsciously try to work towards those things. And so like an external consultant can come in and say, no, Justin, your ideas are stupid. Do this instead.
She would never say that. But yes, and you brought up a really good point in that a lot of times it takes a pair of totally neutral eyes to just come in and see what none of us can see, what's right in our faces,
So if I'm reading the Zoom room right, I should apply for the letter of intent and maybe get a motion to engage Mary Brainey's services starting in June.
I'll move that.
Okay. Whoever just said that, you want to make a motion?
Yeah,
Was
I
that
moved
you?
it.
Ellie, was that you?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, so further discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor of funding a building survey, or whatever we're calling it, say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain? All right, carried unanimously. So we're going to move forward as far as that goes.
As for source, I'm assuming LIG-MEG.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, technically it could come from building funds.
No.
No, I don't want to do that. If we have the
No.
LIGM, yeah, if you have that, Justin, then to use that.
My preference, and I stated this to the capital committee too, would be like that all of the money that we have earmarked for building and collected for building get used for building.
Okay, okay.
And try to fund any planning we do either through, extra funds we have or through the capital improvement committee process.
Okay, I gotcha.
The capital committee met to get today and we voted on what to fund for 2024. And there are a lot of things that have been put on year after year after year. And this one sort of came in very quickly, for Justin's. They supported it, but they did not vote to fund it. So the 150,000 was all that was asked for there. And that was not funded for this year by capital. That's not to say that it's not, there is money in the, building funds that we've put aside and stuff that could be the 150,000, but there's a lot going on in town. I mean, there's
there's a lot going on.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things.
This did kind of just come out of like left field as a dark horse because the MBLC was silent up until the last minute as to when the grant round was going to be. And then the schedule was announced, but that schedule is still within the 5-year planning period of our capital improvement committee. So it's like, you want us to fund what next year? Why didn't we hear about this 5 years ago?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can, it just was too short a time to, because we were short on funds for what we were planning on funding. So, and then that on top of it was just a little bit too much.
Got to keep putting one foot in front of the other.
Right, that's true.
All right, under other building projects, the book bin.
We did have one patron return an item in the donation bin out back. I updated the signs, made it more obvious, but I reckon that's always going to happen every now and then. But I have a key, so it was easy to get out. And no donations that have been dropped in there have been anything I would rescue to bring out to the friends. And we have had things brought in that I would not want to have to put in the book sale, which I took out to the bin. So it's definitely working as intended and serving as an asset, I think.
Good.
I'm happy to have it.
Good. And we can keep it as long as we want?
As far as I know, unless they decide they're not getting the volume they need out of it, they could theoretically take it away one day, but I can't really fathom that happening. As much as we're using it just ourselves, I think it'll definitely have the throughput it needs to stay.
Good. That's good. All right. Under grants on the capital campaign.
We had $235.84 come in from the Friends of the Library, which has been deposited at this point because this was last week's agenda. Other than that, hasn't been a lot of movement.
Okay.
These past couple months.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure if it went in there, but I did drop off $34.50 from the donation jars, but that might have been.
That's part of the 235.84.
Okay, all right. Okay. Under other grants, the LRP updates.
LRP updates is a different thing. Other grants is the end of
other grants. I'm sorry.
But I actually do. Thursday, I am going to a webinar for a mass humanities, restaffing the humanities grant workshop, which I'm hoping might work out to. Basically, it is a program which we will be able to apply to create a humanities position with the plan that the funding for it would probably be picked up once their funding quit. And with the town administrator talking about potentially adding hours to Rebecca's position as an archivist so that she can work at town hall with their records as well as our records here, I want to see if I can leverage that grant to maybe fund Rebecca for a year during a transition and before the town picks it up.
Good.
I don't know if it'll be a good candidate for it or not yet, but I'm hoping it is, and I'm going to go sniff it.
Absolutely. Excellent. Now we can go to LRP updates.
I made a binder of shelf reading logs and procedures to follow for pages and volunteers. So now we have one piece of our procedural manual done.
Perfect. Check that off the list. That
By the
fits.
next meeting, we will have opening and closing procedures done.
Hey, every little check mark makes you feel better. Other updates, whatever. None under friends.
Friends, Friends had, I wrote it down and now I can't find it. I'm going to tell you how much money they had. Oh, I guess it's as of 3/25, and I don't think any more money's come in. The Friends have gotten in membership $3,860, which is good. Last year, I think we were up to 4,600. So we're less than $1,000 away from getting that far. So I think, Dawn, the thing that you wrote on social media last month brought in about 5 or 6 donations. So
Good.
do it again.
Not many people responded, but I didn't have a photo or anything, but that's good to know that people actually came in.
Well, yeah, they either mailed, they had the form even still hanging around.
Oh,
So people don't throw it out. They just love that golden piece of paper. Then what else was I going to say?
Ellie, just going back to what you were talking about of talking things up, doing the donation jars. I've become very good friends with one of the clerks there, and she looks forward to me coming in. And she says, I really like how you have things on the side that says, this is what the money goes for. Like Justin wrote all the different things that we're working towards on our building fund. So I don't know if doing the Friends thing could be, this is what we've already funded, and this is what we're hoping to fund, kind of thing. I don't know. Well, maybe that might drum up a little more business.
Well, maybe people have seen it because there are people that have come back to give, and which haven't given in years, and then I've noticed that because I have a list of everybody who's donated over the years, and so that's encouraging, that they probably have seen and they probably feel for us, and Justin makes a good points about us too, not us, but the library, and its needs and what the Friends are doing. So
right.
And that was the other thing. We're having a meeting on the 29th, our annual meeting, the Friends, on the 29th of April. And I have to remember to get in contact with Caroline to make sure she's going to be around. I know she was going to take a trip somewhere, and I don't know if it's probably that weekend, but I hope not. So that's and that's where if the Friends give money to the Eagle Scout program, that's when it would be voted on. So we have to wait until our annual meeting for that.
Okay.
That's going to be fun. I'll be zooming in from New Hampshire.
Good. Where are you?
I'm assuming it's going to be a Zoom meeting instead of an in-person meeting.
We always have Zoom meetings for everything.
Well, only for the past 3 years.
It's fine with me.
I know. I love this. I love it.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
And you think I'm drinking coffee.
You're supposed to blow on it every now and then so it looks like it's hot.
No, it's not hot. It's cold from the
5:33. You're not supposed to be drinking coffee.
Yeah, I can drink coffee if I want to. You're not my daddy.
Ooh.
Drink your wine like a good farmer.
Oh, my goodness. All right, can we move on? We're ready to move on to other old business. And the children's rooms, I'm gonna call it materials, okay? I think we're all set on those.
Room stories. That actually wasn't even supposed to be on. Ignore that and
Okay.
just go straight to G. That's not on Ellie's agenda. That's me forgetting to get rid of old agenda
All right,
items.
so the 2024 budget.
Still nothing new to report on that. The Board of Selectmen are going to vote tonight on the compensation reform package that Matt is presenting to them. But our operational line items that I presented at the last trustee meeting are, I'm just taking it for granted that they're funded at this point because I haven't gotten any pushback or questions from anyone. FinCom's happy, Matt's happy, so.
Yeah,
That's good.
I'm not necessarily happy with the whole thing, but nothing against the town employees. I just think that some of the emphasis is on the wrong things. For instance, I have to go and look at the police contract and the unionized people contract because I think they get extra money for education, the levels of education that they have. So I think why not give that to the town employees too? You know, if they have extra education, and there might be some other things. I just that was one of the things, and I also just don't understand. You know, it goes from it used to be step a year every year for 10 years, and then bango, you didn't get any step. You might get a cost of living raise, but it wouldn't be a step in it. And now it's like 1, 2, 3 years, and then it jumps up to 5 years, and then 10 years, and then 15 or 20 years, 25. It's very complicated, I think. And so anyway, I'm just going to have to read through what the other the union people, like at the school, the police, fire, are getting, and think that those types of benefits should be offered to town employees too. So I might be talking blah blah at the town meeting, but I'm not going to.
Operationally, though, everyone's happy with the budget, I think.
Good.
Maybe.
Operations, those are the only numbers I can really see.
It sounds like it plays favorites too, the way I saw it. You know, that a department is getting quite a few raises, albeit that they deserve them, but it just compared to other ones, it doesn't scream equal to me. I don't know. I haven't decided what to do, and but the education bit bothers me quite a bit. And what was it that I heard? Oh, I heard when Matt was explaining it all to the selectmen last Thursday night or Tuesday night, the 28th. It was towards the end of the meeting, and he said that everybody just automatically got their step raises, and then but it really should have been based on merit, but nobody's been reviewed in many years. Now we review you every single year,
Yeah.
and we're the only ones that do it.
What? Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not
so
angry.
maybe we shouldn't be doing it.
What?
Mike Kaczynski never what's the word? Reviewed anyone. No one ever got an annual review under Mike Kaczynski, and it didn't get picked up by the interim town administrator, whose name I can't remember.
Oh
and
yeah, I
then
didn't like him
Matt
at all.
came along, and like he just walked into it, and there was no process for getting it done that he inherited. So it really hasn't started happening yet that I know of.
Yeah, no, he mentioned at the last week's selectmen's meeting, the 28th. It was just on this personnel stuff, And it was towards the end of the meeting. It's about an hour and 15-minute meeting. And he says, well, since the selectmen have reviewed me, I'm pretty sure that they review on a yearly basis the town administrator. He says, then I in turn will do my reviews that I have to do. But then you have to make sure, so he's just doing the department heads and like highway and fire. I don't know, all the money people in the municipal center. And then they do their staff after that. It's a hierarchical thing. So, but I was really surprised to hear that they'd never, there was no reviews.
Yeah,
So
me
okay.
too. Okay. Let's move on to the oil furnace and hot water tank.
So Socias came with the proposal to fix the basically take out the boiler, take out the oil tank, fix all the holes, patch everything up, wire to a new, or basically, wire the 220 electricity, which is needed for the new hot water heater, into the furnace room, and install a water tank for $3,987.51. And I'm just waiting on them to get back with a schedule. They said they would call back as soon as they knew when this was going to happen. If I haven't heard from them by the end of the week, I'll probably poke them, because that was last week that, or it was early last week that I signed that. I think it was Monday, actually.
We're waiting for them to get back to us for some work we need to have done.
Oh, at home.
It was really interesting because, like we had these conversations, with Ted Socia, and he sent the proposal, but then, the proposal went through the business office, and the company, I guess, is in the middle of a transition, and they said that we had to do a 50% deposit. It's like, we can't do a 50% deposit. We've never done a deposit on work. They're like, well, yeah, it's just how it works. It's like, it most certainly is not how it works. So that was fun, but it all got sorted out. So now we're just waiting on them to come give us hot water again.
All right.
And did we vote on it to come from LIG, MEG?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And I have to say that I think that's a very fair price for all that work. Just
Yeah, he's discounting us like $400 and something for the oil that's left in the tank.
But removing the tank, that can become an issue sometimes. I think that's good. I think that's a good price. Are we good with that?
Mm-hmm.
Ready to move on? 1,000 books before kindergarten program.
Yeah, so continuing the discussion, Deb is still requesting $946.14 to create the program. To clarify the questions there were last week, the library would be listed on the 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten program website, just by virtue of offering a program.
Right.
But there are no procedures or anything that we have to follow. We're basically free to implement it however we want.
I did go online and I checked it out. It's a wonderful program, and it's in almost every library in the state of Massachusetts. So I think we really have to do it.
Can I chime in? I think I was chartered with talking to to Dudley, because they have that program. And I talked with Lita Carroll, who is the youth librarian there. She's been there for 4 years. She told me that Dudley is the only library in the area that actually has that program. And she has people coming in from towns around. So she has Webster kids, Webster families, Sturbridge, Southbridge, just general. She says about 30 to 40% of their participants are not Dudley residents.
And how many people are, what 40% of how many people?
30, she says she has 30 to 40 participants at any given time. And she said when she first started the program when she went to work at the library 4 years ago, they only had about a half a dozen or so participants. So she revamped the entire thing over the course of time. So now they have 30 to 50 at any one time. They sign up as young as newborns. The average age is 2 to 3 years old, so toddlers. But she said a lot of them don't finish. In the last 6 months, she's had 7 finish. She said that but one of the things that she did to make to get people to sign up was to make it really easy. When she started, the kids had to actually, or the parents had to make a list of every single title that they read. She changed that, so now they just have a sheet for every 100, and they just fill in circles. So it's very easy. So the parent just puts this, doesn't have to write the name. They don't give a book at the beginning, but what they do is for every 100 books, they have a prize. And for the first 100, it's a canvas bag. Then it's a pick a book from the book box. Then it's a $5 snack, then a Legos kit, then an art kit, then movie passes. It goes on to bowling passes. A nice one at 800 is a $25 gift certificate to Book Lovers Gourmet, which is the bookstore in Webster. At 900, you get passes to Davis Farmland. And then finally at 1,000, at 1,000 books, you get a special certificate. You get posted on the wall of kids, take a picture, and it gets into the newspaper and all of that. So she said, by way of just anecdotally, that that there are quite a few parents that sign up their kids really just for the prizes too.
Mhm.
And she said quite a lot of, she says that there's a lot of duplication in terms of, but she knows that the parent, they're reading this, you can read the same book every night. So you can read Good Night Moon every single day, and it's counted towards the count of 100 or 1,000.
Right.
And that happens a lot too. And she says they don't make any, they whatever the parent says is fine. They don't make any judgments about what's being read. They just encourage signing up, and it brings people into the library, and it works, but okay, well, this, it works.
Right.
And so it's a good thing to do, but the participation isn't always just because parents are wanting kids to read books, But I thought it was interesting that she draws kids from other towns. So parents who are interested in having their kids read book and be part of it, they have to go to Dudley, because they don't do it in Webster. They don't, some of the other towns.
How old's your youngest kid, Justin?
My youngest is 3.
Oh, so he's over the hill.
I'll tell him that.
You make a lot of good points, Barbara, and I've been down that road for many, many years. I worked in the libraries, and I promoted all kinds of, it was called Ready to Read. That was the program I was promoting. And we had all kinds of promotional things, and the families got all of these things in these bags, the tote bags and the books and the LAT. And it was considered successful in that they had the exposure to it. They got these things. We were there for them. It became more of a group kind of, and the ones who just took what they could get and leave, that was fine. I think any exposure of families who may not normally step foot into a library, I think is great. I think it's a good idea. I think targeting how to start it is kind of key. Reaching out to those families who are not non-traditional families, maybe.
Barbara, did you
Yeah.
find out how many, how much it costs Dudley to do this program?
Well, no, not really. I guess you can kind of compute it from what they spend for every 100 books, and she has about 6 or 7 kids finish every 7, say maybe 15 kids in a year. So I haven't done that calculation. I could go back and ask her. I also
Well, I mean, it's a lot. It's definitely more than we want to spend.
Justin, I did tell Lita Carroll that we were looking at the program here in Douglas, and that it gave her Deb's name, and I said, and Lita would be more than happy to talk to you or to Deb about the program. What she's discovered over the years, what works and what doesn't, and how she gets people to come into the program, which is she said people come in from story time, social media, different kinds of things. But she's happy to talk about this program. And I could call her back, you could call her, Deb could call her about how much money exactly that she spends.
How do you spell Lita's name?
Lida.
Yeah.
And Carol.
I know her.
Carol's with 2 R's and 2 L's.
Okay.
I believe Lita is the one who came and picked up our old magazine rack.
Oh,
And that came from Sturbridge. I got rid of
See, now it's
Sturbridge.
going back in the other direction.
Yeah.
But I think it's worthwhile, especially if there's I think I looked at maybe just Whitenfield, but I think there are some libraries around us who don't have the program. And apparently you can, maybe you can get some kids from some towns around us.
Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot of libraries that maybe at one point offered a program like this and got on that website, and it hasn't been very well maintained, because you'll see
Oh, yeah.
like,
So I wondered because, yeah, I was
of
looking
libraries
at it.
listed, but then you go to the library website and look for a program and there's nothing there.
It's not
Right. That's it. I didn't do that. I just went to the website and I'm like, oh, look at that. Look at all these.
Yeah, no,
I
I looked at a couple around us. I didn't see it. So I thought, well, hey, it's an opportunity.
So, I mean, like, I'm not as interested in the branding from that regard so much as I'm interested in fostering, a local reading culture the same way that our adult book clubs do and our adult writing club is doing.
Right. My thought is if we're going to go forward with this, is to do some targeting at the WIC office where Douglas residents would go, and for the SNAP program as well, where Douglas residents would go. I would suggest that to Deb. I would be happy to drop off flyers if it comes to that, because it's going to need to be flyers. But I'd be happy to help with that in any way of getting things out to non-traditional families who may be afraid to go into the library. So I know, Barbara, you said she didn't give out a book at the beginning. You've got to get them in at the very beginning. And if they take that book and they never come back, they at least have a book. That they may not have another book in that house for those children, but at least they have that book.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. Totally. Yeah,
and we can reach out.
I don't know how you could start without a book. You can't really start without a book.
I know.
So
A book and a library card.
Can we postpone all of this until next month and give Justin and Deb a chance to get in contact with Lita or Lida?
What do you say, Justin? Do you want to talk this over with Deb?
Yeah, sure.
Give her a chance
But
to.
also to talk with Lita or Lida about.
Absolutely. I think that's a wonderful idea.
Okie doke.
All right. So we will table that until,
Lot of prizes that they do in Dudley.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, that's
We
crazy.
could get donations for that, right?
I'm not
I
familiar
think
with
so.
this current children's librarian, of youth librarian it's called now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know anything about it. It used to be really a really friendly place. Oh, sounds friendly.
It could
Right.
be that some of those things are donated. I would think so, you know.
Yeah.
I can ask.
Yeah, because I'd rather pay for books than prizes. I'd rather give books than bowling passes.
Mm-hmm.
I agree, Betty, but
That's-
it's, yeah,
Well, we probably could get donations of pizza.
Yeah.
That's what we have in
That's
Douglas.
not exactly reading, not exactly reading.
well, no, I agree, Betty, but you gotta do something besides. I agree. I totally agree. That's for our discussion for next month. So hold those thoughts, people.
Thoughts are held.
All right. Hold your heads, your head. All right, on to job descriptions.
Another continuing discussion. We left, I'm just going to read this. I had to update the job descriptions for the committee in charge of compensation reform to accurately reflect our duties. We discussed the job descriptions at the last meeting, but it ended unresolved on whether Gail and Deb's positions should require an MLS, prefer an MLS, or neither. Currently, Deb's position calls for a degree, Gail's does not. And that's how it was left by default, but y'all wanted to discuss it more. So here we are.
Okay. I will open the floor to
Now,
discuss.
Gail and Deb are the same age, right?
Ish, I
looked
think.
But it's
Yeah,
not
they're-
about
I looked
age.
them up.
That's an
No, I
AM?
know, but the thing is, they're very
I-
close to retirement. I don't know if they'll stay until they're 102, which would be wonderful, but they could
I'm gonna
retire fairly
stop
quickly.
right there because we can't discuss age. That's.
That's
you can't
nothing
discuss
to
age.
do with
You
it
can
anyway.
You can discuss
Okay.
years that they've held the position. Okay,
All right, no, forget I said anything then.
Yeah, I think
I
that's
just,
true.
but I think that if you're going to upgrade the job descriptions, you just can say prefer an MLS. That's all. And I know that Betty was saying she didn't think that was useful, or she disagreed with that, and I agreed with it. So that I think that's, and then Justin left, so stop talking about it.
yeah, that's where we were. That's where we had left it.
Yeah. So,
Well, is this something that we want resolved now, or is this something that we want to come up when Deborah Gale retires? Because as I posted next, these aren't positions that, like these job descriptions I just wrote up were purely for the compensation reform committee. I would not put any of them out, for
Right.
posting
Yeah,
until they were revisited and redone. I mean, I think mine says I make coffee for staff. I would definitely want to edit that out. And there's, other things we
Yeah,
probably.
some of them sounded like they came from some kind of a printout. They didn't sound like they were individually written up. They sounded like some kind of generic description.
well, you
I
want
also
it sort
tried
of
to
generic.
keep as much of the previous language as I could, which is probably why.
Well, you don't want to write a job description for the person in the job. You want to write a job description for the position.
Right.
Right. I think if there's no rush on this, I think we can. All right, can we table it, or can we just take it off the agenda for now until it comes up again?
Yeah, do we need
So,
that?
protocol on that.
Okay.
I don't know, or do we want
I
to
think it's
continue
come
to
up.
dis-
It is in front of us. That's
All right,
that's-
so,
But these descriptions have already been submitted to the personnel.
no,
Committee?
personnel, it doesn't exist, basically.
Or
Nothing to do
whoever,
with personnel.
The
Whoever-
compensation.
They have-
reform
it's
committee has
compensation
already
committee,
looked at.
compensation committee.
Yes.
So it's been submitted to them or no?
Because you know what they
Yeah, but
want
it's
was
us
kind of
that are
exactly
making-
the opposite. Because normally we would write a job description, as Ellie said, for like for what we want, not what we have. But this was an instance where we had to write a job description for what we have to make sure that what we have is getting adequately compensated for what they're doing. And then sort of mush it into what we want, which is why we were able to kind of like add some things to Gail's and add some things to Deb's job responsibilities, which justifies, and like just accurately describing what they do. And like the big change here was in Rebecca's, because like Rebecca does a job which she is not paid to do. She is paid to be a library assistant, but she works as an archivist. So that was what needed the big fix in our department. And then the other big fix that was needed was, Gail's lack of compensation compared to everyone else's based on what she does. Both of those got fixed in this process, so I am incredibly happy with that.
okay.
But like I said, these are not like good job descriptions, and we would want to approve better ones for posting. But even if we did approve better ones for posting, I would want to reapprove them when the time came to post them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
I have a-
my concern too is the trustees are the overseers of the library director. So, and the library director is writing the job descriptions. It is not this compensation program, although they committee, which is made up of 5 staff people plus Matt, to do the review of everything. So that was concerning to me that I felt it was very important for us to approve that these were legit job descriptions and not have us bypassed, because I still feel strongly that the trustees are in charge of the library and not the town.
That's
So
a
that's
point
where
well
I'm coming
taken.
from.
A point well taken, Ellie.
But these descriptions have already been submitted to the compensation reform committee.
Yeah, because their work is already
Okay.
done. It's
So
already
we don't need to vote on
Board of
that.
Selectmen for approval tonight.
Okay,
Alright,
that's
so
what I
how
thought.
about okay, let's table it for
So if
discussion.
you want to be at town hall in an hour,
Well,
There you go,
Yeah,
Ellie.
and then there'll be like town meeting.
I'll give my personal feeling. I believe that at least in Deb's position, MLS preferred. Gail's position, I would say oh, not masters, library science.
They're bachelors?
Yeah, just a,
I know.
There are people with bachelor's degrees in library information science.
Yeah.
My mother she graduated from Simmons as well as Justin and me. And when she went there, she got a bachelor's in library science. And that was in the 30s.
Okay, so 100 years
So, but
later.
they don't exist anymore. You can't get a bachelor's of library science.
All right, so
I think
some
it was
type
a
of-
second bachelor's degree too. So
I don't know, Justin, what?
No one stops there, but you
comparable-
can get one.
I think it makes
Justin,
sense
what could you put
to
in there?
not discuss it until we have an opening, and then, because who knows when that will be and what will have changed between now and then.
Okay.
Gail, are
that
you quit
sounds-
anytime soon? No, Gail's not leaving anytime soon.
I'm gonna, as chair, I'm gonna suggest that we table this till our next meeting for further
Next meeting.
discussion.
So you don't like what Kate just said?
I do like what Kate just said.
She said not, I mean, and Gail just said she wasn't returning tomorrow.
I would
And so-
suggest taking it off the agenda until we have an opening that we need to write a job posting for.
Right, and I had said that before, and it seemed like people felt that it was needed to stay on the agenda, so I'll do
Well,
either.
It's, I just was concerned that it was out of our hands, and that's where I wanted to get back into the ruling
Okay,
seat, so. But I don't.
Well, if
I'm
it's already
willing to
been
wait.
sent in, if it's already been sent into the compensation committee, then we can't change it for them.
Right,
right,
So,
but it's
so
not.
they
endorsed
must
by-
have what was suggested, so we're not going to change it for them, so we might as well wait until we need to change it for hiring.
I
Table
agree.
job descriptions until an opening happens.
right, I agree,
Okay.
right? We don't have to vote on it.
Even though the committee already has the other one.
Yeah.
It's a
We'll
little
send
crazy,
them
but-
the new description when we have an opening.
Right.
Yeah, they don't care about the descriptions. They just care about the level. So like I sent in the descriptions, they translated that into this position should be, an OA, either 1, 2, or 3. That's all they literally cared about. And that's what the whole exercise was for, was to
Right.
determine where to place people in those charts. So I mean, like
They
at this
just want to
point,
know about the
those-
responsibilities.
Exactly. The job descriptions I sent them as soon as the chart is done are probably just going to go in the shredder because they have no bearing to anything they do over there at town hall. All they care about is the classification, the number and the letter. And then the dollar amount that translates to.
Okay. So do we need a vote to take, we're just gonna remove it? I'd say as chair, we're removing that item until we need it, as per the vice chair.
That is fair.
All right, so we're moving on to other in the spool. I see the.
We
spool
delivered the spool to a
delivered.
patron.
Yay.
Yay.
The patron was going to build a chicken coop with the spool, and then the patron broke her ankle. So now I don't know that they actually want the spool anymore, but it's not our problem now.
Oh my God.
The ankle breaking was related to the spool or not?
I don't think so. No,
No, I hope not.
no. Me and Gail unloaded the spool.
There's a karma that follows that spool. What's its story? It must go back to the mill days when, never mind.
No. It's like
See, I feel a Stephen King short story there.
Mhm.
All right, under other.
The toys have been purchased. The dollhouse has been put together. I have everything in the bins. We just have to get the signage put up, and they're ready to go.
All right, perfect. Under new business, trees and parking lot.
The trees are gone, and our yard looks beautiful now.
Oh, cool.
The
I haven't even looked.
Well, they cleaned it up this morning. But I mean, the trees, I mean, I think Adam was worried that they were going to be kind of hard to remove, but I
Yeah.
think they kind of just crumbled whenever they touched them because
There you go.
they were dead. They were definitely mostly dead. But, even, Josie, who wanted them put there in the first place, I mean, that's the reason they were there, is because in the public hearing, he was afraid that they would, mess up or he was afraid that headlights from our driveway would disturb tenants and the property. And, he wanted them gone. So it was kind of one of those, well, if you want them gone, then absolutely. But Adam wanted them gone, Josie wanted them gone, we wanted them gone, and now we have a yard back, which will be great when summer reading time comes, because we've already been talking about, because we were doing music and movement out on the common, but we could do it here now if we wanted to, because we have open green space
Nice.
on the other side of the parking lot.
Hmm.
So that's exciting.
All right. I have to check out for 1 minute. So I'll be right back. I'm going to put Kate in charge right now.
All right, let's move on to the Eagle Scout project.
Okay, I'm sorry that this took everyone by surprise. Ethan Shijum is an Eagle Scout who approached me probably a year ago, asking me if I had ideas for Eagle Scout projects, because they have to be pretty big, and so like he wanted to know what was on the horizon, and I had mentioned a couple things, including like paint work, some work out in front of the library with our benches and whatnot, and the possibility of a story walk on this net. He ran with a story walk idea, and he touched bases with me a few months ago via email. And I was like, all right, let's do this. How can I help? And then the next thing I got was, well, I'm presented to the Conservation Commission and, all of the boards and everything for approval, and we're ready to go. Can we fundraise now? And I was like, okay, all right. You did this. So, anyway, he's gotten this done. He's ready to pull the trigger on it. And so basically, if you're driving from the library to Town Hall, you keep going up Depot Street. It ends in that Depot Street parking lot on the Southern New England Trunkline Trail. His proposal is to create 14 wood and plexiglass stations on the trail heading west. When we've done this before, we've headed east, but for 14 stations, we wanted a little bit more space to spread out, and he talked to the people on the SNET, and that's where they wanted it. So he's like got it mapped out where there'll be 14 stations, which would let us just take our story walks out there and put them in, like these wooden podium style markers that go up and down the SNET, instead of putting in our yard signs, because the yard signs, they're lower to the ground, they're not as attractive, and they deteriorate. They're not lasting as long as we would have hoped. So he got these plans from another library who's done this. So because I showed him, like a work book on how to build story walks, like it's basically a LibGuide. And so he's got the schematics drawn out, following those. He's got the materials all done out. He's estimating it's going to cost $150 a sign. And he's looking for people to sponsor stations and just for general donations. So we're literally just waiting on trustee approval, and then he can fundraise and build us a story walk.
So I think you answered my question, because last summer we went to one of the story walks, and the signs were too low, and the print was too small, and so no one could read it. There were too many words on the pages, and so the kids just ran around. I think it was at the orchard. So his dimensions, I would imagine, brings it up higher. So it's between where children can see and the adult is able to read it. Do you have the height on it?
I do in my email somewhere, because I have his little, let's see. I'm actually going to stop sharing my screen for a minute. While I go through my emails. Let's see. Where's the schematic?
Well, if you say he got it from another library that has done it, or another.
Yeah, they're going to be very nice signs. I'm just looking for the packet of information because he sent me the package. Let's see. I need to search Ethan Chisholm. He's a great kid too. He applied to be a library page.
Oh, wow. Well,
Why
you
does the
would-
library have to approve it?
The story walk?
Yeah,
Well, I
Yeah,
mean, it
it's
kind of
not-
we're not on the. Do we have
us.
to sponsor him? Why do we have to approve what he does on the SNET?
Well, it's for us. It's like, you know, a library story walk that we can deploy our you know, stories on. It's just on the SNET. So, you know, the SNET will have to, you know, cut around it and stuff, but they're okay with that. He's already worked out that with them. We will just be able to put our story walks there.
So
well,
who
you know what?
owns,
No one else will be using it. It'll just be us.
You know what? Don't worry about it, Justin. If you can't find the schematics, you were talking in your description that said it was going to be higher than the other signs, so it should be
is
good.
the DCR has nothing to do with that trail then?
No, it is the DCR does have. He's
Oh, yeah.
he's already done with them. He's already gotten their permission and everything to put everything, and they've approved the plan for it.
Where they are now, there's really no cutting that goes around there, no mowing. It's just off to the side where it's leaves and stuff from the trees grow from the, you know, natural stuff there.
They do have to like weed eat there quite a bit. You'd be surprised how much maintenance they actually have to put in on those trails, because if they don't, then the thorny brambly vines just grow over them
Well, that's
And
true.
who does that?
really quick.
My husband just spent a month clearing thorny, brambly vines from our paddock. Well,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
just
want
don't
to
want
take
you to-
time.
Get up and leave. It's 6:15.
I know. I don't want
sorry.
to take any more time, Justin. We're fine. We're fine.
They are tall, and I do plan on deploying some adult story walks too. Story walks don't just have to be for kids.
Absolutely not. You can do all kinds of crazy. You can do fundraisers that way too.
They can slap
Anyhow.
QR codes on those things and watch the donations roll in.
Yeah.
Got it. That's it. All right. So let's move on. Do we need to vote I make a motion, I'll entertain a motion that the board approves this young man's Eagle Scout project.
So moved.
Second,
All right. All those in favor, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Right, so he's got his story walk project ahead of him. This is a good time of the year to start.
Yep, he wants to get it done quickly, so I'm hoping it's done before summer reading.
Yeah,
Very cool. Thank you, Ethan.
Yeah, thank you.
yeah. I have lost everything except everybody else's faces, so. What's happening
Oh,
now?
I'm not sharing anymore, am I? Share.
You're not very well at all. You used to say that about you. Share very
That's
well.
bad, because that's my job, is to share stuff. And I am struggling. Oh my gosh. There we go. There. Can you see it now?
All right, yes,
Boom.
all right. Okay, under other,
We have a coded key box on the back door. It just came. Adam suggested installing them at the library and the senior center for the custodians, said he would do it. So now we've got a key box on the back door. If anyone wants the code to it, it also is a code that works on the security system. So my hope is to sort of like pull back keys that we have given to various people, like the Boy Scouts and Optima. You know, like the police, fire, they have to have physical keys. They can't do a lockbox. They've got to have a master key box. But like, you know, like other community organizations, instead of giving them a key to the building, giving them a security code to the lockbox, which has a key, and then we don't have to chase keys anymore.
right, yeah,
I have another, which is the
Another.
one,
Oh yeah, my contract.
yeah. So, Justin found it yesterday, something like that. But I read through it, and because myself and Pete Tatro and Joe wrote that contract, and it did expire. And then I looked today at the contracts are on, I think, the Board of Selectmen's site on douglasmass.gov, and the Justin's was not there. And then and one of the big things is that by law we have to have a contract with Justin, and so I looked at the finance director's contract, and hers was for 5 years. So I'm willing to just go through this and update it. There's at one point there's a she in there, which probably related to Anne, something like that. So it was, and that has to be corrected. But if and all of you read through it before next month thing, I'll draft something and send it out. So I'll give you 2 weeks to do it, and then I'll send it out to you for your
Right.
view. And is 5 years okay, do you think? We had done it for 3 years before.
Let's do 5 years. That's the way he has to stay here longer.
I
I
know,
would very much appreciate not being unemployed.
right, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. We're fine. Everybody's fine. Okay.
But it's a good contract. I mean, like, there's not.
It is. I say, why fix what's not broken?
Yeah, we spent a long time. We had to go to Pete's house about 1 million times and admire it in ordeal.
Actually, that's 8 years ago.
There's nothing about
Well, this
coffee.
was for 3 years, so what?
There's nothing about coffee in here.
No, it's a hiring and firing, I think, basically.
Is that the one we did with her lawyer? Or is that since then? I think it's since then.
No, this was done, and it was Pete and Joe and I that did it.
Yeah, but remember when we did Anne, she had to go to her lawyer back and forth with a lawyer.
Maybe that's why the she
Maybe
was
that wasn't.
embedded in there. Yeah.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Yeah, I had forgotten that.
The memories. Okay. So, oh no, we're not starting all over again, are we?
Oh, I just had to scroll down because I was on the contract page.
All right. Okay. So our next meeting is April 25th, 5 p.m. Okay. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
And what time is it now?
It is I'm crying out loud.
6:22.
6:22.
Okay. All righty.
All right.
I'll move it.
Second.
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
As Joe said, it's a standing vote.